Welcome back, gamers. Today I'll be reviewing Zoochosis, an indie horror simulator that took the internet by storm with its thrilling concept and edgy promotional material. In this game, you take the role of a night watchman at a zoo, which is filled with mutant animals, and you're tasked with managing the chaos, treating the creatures, and uncovering the mysteries that lurk in the shadows. But does Zoochosis live up to the hype? Well, let's find out. Let's start off with what Zoochosis gets right, its concept. On paper, the game sounds perfect for horror enthusiasts. You play as a night shift zookeeper, managing animals that are slowly transforming due to their unknown virus. And your job? Simple. Diagnose, treat, and sometimes deal with their mutations as the zoo spirals into chaos. The concept leans heavily into the body horror and plays on the tension of working in isolation. Surrounded by dangerous creatures that could become something far more sinister at any moment. The execution and narrative leaves much to be desired. While the initial setup is intriguing, the story quickly becomes muddled, with awkward writing and confusing character motivations. And the characters themselves, especially your fellow NPCs, deliver the lines with poor voice acting, which undermines the tension and immersion. The interaction should feel dire and mysterious, but come off unintentionally humorous or worse, boring. A game with a premise like this should have the player hooked from the start, but unfortunately, this game stumbles early and never quite recovers. Now let's talk about the gameplay, because this is where Zoochosis truly struggles. At its core, the game revolves around managing zoo animals, feeding them, diagnosing their ailments, collecting samples, and applying treatments. In theory, it should have worked well, especially with the added horror element. But in practice, these mechanics are repetitive, shallow, and most importantly, buggy. And one of its main issues is the task system. You'll find yourself constantly doing the same things, cutting food into portions, taking blood samples, and administrating treatments, with very little frustration, with little variation. And this game offers no strategy or depth to this task, and they quickly become a chore. And there's no room for error in certain mechanics like food portioning, where cutting the wrong amount means wasted resources. This kind of rigidity could have added tension, but instead, it feels punishing without any meaningful payoff. And there are a lot of bugs, with some of them being game-breaking and also corrupting the save file, forcing you to restart entire sections. For a game where progression is key to unlocking the full experience, these technical issues completely ruin the flow. Another bug I almost forgot to mention is the animals often transforming off-screen, which robs you of what could be a tense and terrifying moment, but instead you're left battling a lackluster AI with repetitive mechanics that boil down to shooting tranquilizer at mutant animals, which can't even kill you. But visually, this game fares slightly better, as the design of the zoo and its mutated creatures is suitably creepy. The environments are dark and gloomy, and invoke an oppressive atmosphere that works well in horror settings. The mutant animals, particularly the gorillas, look twisted in ways that will make you feel uneasy at first glance. But like the rest of the game, the novelty wears off quickly, and you'll start noticing cracks in the presentation, low quality animations, stiff character movements, and repetitive environments. And when it comes to the audio, unfortunately, this is where the game takes another dive. While the main character's voice acting is great, most other voice acting performances fall flat, ranging from bland to downright irritating. And couple that with the underwhelming soundtrack that lacks memorable cues and tense build-ups, you're left with an audio experience that fails to support the game's intended horror. And while this game was marketed as a horror experience, unfortunately, it really isn't. The first moments of tension are effective. You feel a sense of dread creeping in as you explore the zoo, and the body horror aspects of mutated animals are unsettling. But the more you play this game, the faster the horror fizzles out. And what could have been a high-stakes game of survival turns into a routine dart shooting and task management. And even in the game's more extreme moments, like in the bizarre inclusion of human corpse being fed into the meat grinders, feel oddly placed, edgy for the sake of being edgy, without adding any tension or world building. The major selling point of this game is its multiple endings, but unfortunately these features too feel more like padding than a meaningful addition. After one playthrough, which can be done in less than 2 hours, you're encouraged to start again and unlock more enclosures and presumably see different endings. However, since the gameplay doesn't involve much between playthroughs, the experience becomes repetitive very quickly. Moreover, the game doesn't adequately prepare you for its different endings, as you're more likely to reach the bad endings without any clear indication of how to achieve the good ones, which then leads to more frustration rather than excitement at the prospect of replaying. In my opinion, Zoochosis had the potential to be a breakout indie horror hit, and while the game's concept remained compelling, unfortunately the game's execution is disappointingly weak. And for me, this game is a 5 out of 10, and it's a game I cannot recommend to any of you, even if you love horror. If you've played the game, did you like it, would you recommend it? Let me know in the comments. As always, thank you for watching till the end, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a great day.